10 minutes to stay with us here on the show. Many thanks for joining this broadcast. We begin from the Shanti region on a rather sad note where the Shanti Regional Police Command has launched an investigation into the tragic incidents involving military personnel and civilians at Nyinahin, which resulted in the death of a young man. The incident occurred when a group of soldiers traveling in a military vehicle with registration number 73GA36 encountered a group of young men on their way to bury a deceased friend. During the encounter, one of the young men was reportedly seen wearing military camouflage attire. According to EIB Network's Ashanti Regional Correspondent Isaac Justic Vidiako, a soldier allegedly confronted the individual, forcibly removed the camouflage clothing and detained him. The situation quickly escalated, leading to a clash between the soldiers and the civilians. One person identified as Akwesi Lala, also known as Kushivi, tragically lost his life in the altercation. In a statement signed by Deputy Superintendent of Police GHOne Ahianyo, the police assured the public of a swift and thorough investigation. The statement also called on the public to cooperate with law enforcement to ensure justice is served. Unfortunate incident there, but we are looking forward to what investigations would be. But let's engage briefly with our Ashanti Regional Correspondent Isaac Justice Vidia, who joins us via Zoom now to get us up to speed on what is happening over there. Isaac, what more can you report after yesterday's incidents? How are the residents there feeling?
Well, I must say that residents are not happy with what happened yesterday. And as we speak now, there's a planned press conference which will be held at the Nyinahin community by the National Democratic Congress. NDC. What the NDC people are saying is that the young man who died as a result of the incident is one of their members, and so they will not take it lightly. But apart from that, a number of their members were also shot in Obuasi when the military went to protect some part of the AGA's concession, the Anglo-Gold Asante concession. And so they are adding all those things that happened within this year, so far as military brutality or killing is concerned. And so they're going to address a news conference on this particular incident at Nyinahin later this afternoon, after when they have gone to visited the 4 people who have been hospitalized and receiving medical attention. But apart from that, if you recall, yesterday during the evening news, I reported that the incident led to destruction of ECG's transformer, which served as the transformer for the community, was destroyed because bullet hits the transformer. As we speak now, the entire community is still living in darkness, even though ECG's has deployed some of their engineers to go and fix the transformer. So that is also a way of update on the incident.
Now, there are conflicting reports on social media suggesting that the military men has been put out there. The military men were being chased by these young persons, leading to the altercation. Have you come across such other reports?
The information that I have from the security source is that the military, when they approached the young man to remove his camouflage, in the camouflage, demanded for him to remove, which he told them that he's not wearing any underwear. And while they were in possession to go and started hooting at the military. So they also started pelting them with stones. Then the military also, in retaliation, decided to also fire gun at them, leading to the death. That is the information I have also picked from security source and some of the people that witnessed the incident. In fact, the young man that we spoke to yesterday on Star today confirmed that they were pelting stones at the military when they successfully removed.
Isaac, we'll leave the conversation here. Isaac Justice Bidiako is our Ashanti regional correspondent there, confirming to us that indeed what happened was quite unfortunate, but then the people over there were also reportedly pelting stones to the military. We're looking forward to more updates as there's supposed to be a presser this afternoon. The police has begun investigations into the tragic incidents. What happened on Thursday brings us the big question to bear. Many have had cause to ask about the legality when it comes to a civilian wearing a military camouflage attire.
Unfolded in Nyinahin on Thursday have reignited a long-standing debate in Ghana. Is it unlawful for civilians to wear military camouflage attire? The incident, which led to the death of a young man, has drawn national attention not only because of the fatal altercation between civilians and soldiers, but also due to the circumstances that sparked it. According to reports, the confrontation began when a soldier confronted a young man for wearing camouflage patterned clothing. What started as a warning tragically escalated into violence. This is not an isolated case. In recent years, there have been multiple reports of civilians being harassed, brutalized or detained by security personnel, especially personnel from the military, simply for wearing military-style camouflage, raising serious legal and human rights concerns. But if you're wondering if wearing camouflage is illegal in Ghana, then yes, it is. Under the Armed Forces Act 1962, Act 105. But the question is how this law is to be enforced, because up until now, it seems to be by discretion.
What happened at Nyinahin is quite a tragic incident. Many have had cause to wonder really about the legality when it comes to persons who are found wearing camouflage attire of the military. And what should be the remits of the law when it comes to this? Well, if you look at the restriction of the use of military uniforms and equipment Act 1967, the NLCD 177, Section 1, which focuses on military uniforms not to be worn by civilians, says that no person shall wear or use any military uniform, equipment, accoutrement, or other material unless he is a member of the Armed Forces of Ghana, wearing or using the uniform, equipment, accoutrements, or material which he is authorized to wear or use, or be a member of any other armed forces and has the consent of the National Liberation Council or is entitled by law or by diplomatic usage to wear it. An ex-serviceman, a person with the National Liberation Council, among other things. It even stipulates what should happen when someone is found breaking this particular offense. But let's engage legal practitioner Yao Dankwa on this particular matter. Many thanks for your time, Counsel, this morning. What is missing clearly in what I've just read in law? Perhaps you'd correct me on that. It's the provision that allows for manhandling of civilians when they are found wearing camouflage attire. Why are we seeing the military perpetrate this injustice?
Well, okay. First of all, we're not quite sure what actually transpired, other than what eyewitnesses have told us. But there's a clear violation in law, as you've read it. The restriction of on the use of Military Uniform Equipment Act 1967, NRCD 177. Section 1 forbids any civilian to wear military attire. Section 2 forbids any civilian to sell a military uniform or equipment or buy. And Section 4 creates the offense that anyone who violates any of those provisions above will be liable to a fine or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 1 year. So there's a clear offense there. But as to whether or not the military are the ones who enforce that law, it's a different thing. Having said that, even when a person violates that offense, the law prescribes that before that person is prosecuted, the Attorney General should be informed, which means that it is only the Attorney General that can bring a prosecution that can prosecute those offenders. But as we all know, the arresting powers of the land, is vested in the police, except where the military, where they have declared a national emergency, or there's a particular provision in any act that warrants a military officer to effect arrest. But in this very incident, I don't think I don't know the facts though, but I don't think in law the military have the power to arrest, other than maybe to report and get the police to effect an arrest if they want to rely on the provisions under Act 177.
Are there provisions in law to deal with the military or persons who perpetrate these kinds of injustice on civilians, even though they have committed offense? We have seen the loss of the young man's life due to the same issue. Are there provisions that seeks to punish military officers for perpetrating such acts?
Of course, the military are they are no different to the ordinary Ghanaian citizens, except that there's a particular act that binds them, that regulates them, and then the military might take an action with the military police, and of course the police may also investigate criminality, because there's an act of a criminal offense perpetrated on the citizen, which falls within the remit of the police to investigate. So yes, the military cannot be exonerated or exempt from any police criminal investigation.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us. That's private legal practitioner Yadankwa engaging us on the legality of what the law says, engaging us on what the law says when it comes to these matters. But let's have a conversation as well with a security analyst on these happenings. Samuel Apia is a security analyst here, and he joins me now on this matter. Samuel, many thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Grateful. The approach of the military when it comes to dealing with persons who are found wearing camouflaged attire, what we have seen, and this is based on evidence, what we have seen so far, is constant manhandling. What is leading to this?
Well, I think we should address the issue of what constitutes a military uniform and what the acts forbid the use by civilians. Okay, so if we can classify any camouflage pattern uniform as military uniform, and then the civilians are barred from using it, then first and foremost, we should enforce the law such that those who are selling them on the open markets should all be arrested and dealt with, because if those things can be classified as military uniform and that it's forbidden, then we should not also allow those things to be on the market. Now, what constitutes the provocation to the extent that a military personnel will point, the weapon directly to a civilian, especially so when they were in the mood of grieving, going to bury one of their own, and suddenly you bump into them, you found one of them wearing a military patterned uniform, so to say, or camouflage patterned uniform. Then you got angry, you descended from your vehicles, and suddenly you started to, asking them to remove, or asking the gentleman to remove the uniform or the camouflage attire he was wearing. The worst they could do was to just allow the gentleman to remove, the uniform or the dress, but not resort to the usage of firearm and firing into the crowd, leading to loss of life and injury other 3 or 4 people. I think it was quite unmeasured kind of use of force, and I think it was unprofessional on the part of the military. We should not entertain this, and let's condemn it with all, the force it deserves. I don't see the need, or I don't see the provocation in it that require the use of force to the extent that you shoot and kill an innocent civilian just because the person is suspected or is seen wearing a camouflage pattern uniform. That it's not and cannot even be, by the sight of it, classified as a military uniform. In fact, the military classification for a uniform, as depicted in the Act, must have certain, elements which will qualify it so that we cannot have them. But as I said earlier on, we have all of these camouflage pattern attires on the open market, and people are buying them, using them. Politicians buy them to do their campaigns and all of that. What do we do about it? If it is unlawful, then we must enforce the law that nobody should import such materials or such uniforms to sell them on the open market in the first place. And again, if a military man or personnel see a civilian wearing such camouflage pattern uniform, what measure would you have to take? The worst you can do is to instruct the person to remove it. And if you want to, effect arrest, you can just report to the police, but not to, the person hasn't attempted or done anything so provocation to the extent that it requires, or it's the response that you need to meet them with is brute force and then resorting to killing and the loss of life. I don't think that is right. It was very much unprofessional on the part of the military officers.
Samuel, we'll leave the conversation here. The police is investigating the matter. Hopefully we get some finality to this, and then justice is served to presence in the community. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Samuel Appiah is a security analyst. Away from security and happiness in the Ashanti region to the Eastern region now, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health has commended management of the Eastern Regional Hospital in Koforidua for its dedication to quality healthcare delivery and prudent management of resources. This happened during a visit by members of the committee to assess the hospital's operations, performance and challenges.
At a working visit by members of Parliament's Health Committee, authorities at the Eastern Regional Hospital presented a positive financial outlook, highlighting achievements such as the establishment of a dialysis center, investment in staff accommodation, modern medical equipment, scientific conference and research, and enhanced community health outreach programs. Leader of the Health Committee's delegation, Dr. Thomas Anaba, expressed satisfaction with the facility.
All in all, we met them. They did us a slide presentation. We're very, at least, comfortable and happy for what they have done so far. We've gone around the facility to inspect certain areas of interest, and they look very good. I think the hospital management is doing very, very well. Hospital is very neat. The arrangement is good. The environment is friendly. What we've noticed is that they have been able to invest their own monies, at least, to set up a dialysis center and providing free services to the patients, which is very good. They have been able to establish what we call research in the hospital, whereby they have some annual scientific forum, which is good for a regional hospital. We hope that all regional hospitals will start doing same.
Despite the commendation, the hospital faces significant challenges, including the absence of a mammogram machine for breast cancer screening, occasional equipment failure, infrastructure limitation, and high staff attrition rates. Management also appealed for a dedicated ambulance for the hospital to strengthen emergency care.
The circumstances that led to they declaring that strike, and they have indicated to government, they have indicated to the Minister for Health that they need an unqualified apology from him for the way he came on them so hard. We also agree with them, it was too high-handed. And then they have also extended their request to the fact that all the needed equipment, everything that will let them operate efficiently as medical professionals should be provided, because you see they have been making do with what they have, and if government is not appreciative of it and government will come on them so hard, now they say well, give it to us and then we will deliver, we will work. I have said this, that if the Minister for Health doesn't change his approach to the way he handles these healthcare professionals, there will be a work to rule attitude. You know, the work to rule attitude is, I have come, yes, but there's nothing for me to improvise to take care of patients. But we know we cannot provide everything within the vicinity of the hospital for them to operate effectively or efficiently. They have.
To matters of education now, Minister responsible Haruna Idrisu has directed the newly formed National Teaching Council Committee to draft a clear roadmap towards abolishing the controversial teacher licensure examination. The directive forms part of the minister's broader reforms aimed at improving teacher recruitment and professional development, emphasizing a more practical and inclusive approach to teacher qualification standards. Haruna Idrisu made these remarks after the inauguration of newly constituted committee of the National Teaching Council.
Yes, it's true. The NDC campaigned on a manifesto promise we will end licensure exams. We did. And we will keep faith with the electorate. But I need professional advice on this matter. That is why I'm putting this committee together to advise most appropriately how to walk through the transition. I want to say that one last opportunity of a receipt of, do we offer them an opportunity of a receipt?
Let's engage education specialist Divine Pay on this particular development. Divine, many thanks for your time this morning. The Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, is proposing that, largely from his last point, that we offer persons who missed and failed the previous licensure exams, there should be a consideration for them to be given a chance to resit those. Well, let's begin off on that note. What do you make of that particular suggestion?
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. Of course, there's no problem if we intend to give another opportunity to persons that previously were unable to sit through the previous examinations for them to redeem themselves. Notwithstanding, I believe going forward, there has to be a ceiling on the number of attempts that persons can sit to write the examination for them to pass and enter into a classroom. Currently, there is no ceiling, so we have to open the space for them to write as much as possible. But strongly, I think we can't give opportunity to persons that keep on failing to write forever. There has to be a ceiling that allows that if it is 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, once you've exhausted those number of times, the window of opportunity closes on you. You are unable to go through again, because I don't understand why somebody should have been given opportunity forever in life to be writing the same exam as much as possible. And if the person finally uses a foul mean to pass and enters the classroom, then it's not because the person has the quality, but because the person knows that, no, I've written it 3 times, 4 times, I haven't passed. So this time I'm much determined. So any means available, I'm going to use this to pass. And the person devises some foul means to pass and enters the classroom. That person becomes a danger to our learners in the classroom. So currently, once we do not have a ceiling, we just have to allow it. But any reform that is coming, strongly, I suggest that there must be a ceiling.
Our broader agenda by the minister to abolish entirely the teacher licensure examinations. The formation of the committee is proposed to them that there should be a consideration whether or not it should be fused into the final exams they write before they come out of school, or it should be scrapped off completely. What are your thoughts on this?
All right. And the issue is not as straightforward as we may have thought, because if you look at the Education Regulatory Bodies Act 2020, you will notice that as part of the functions given to National Teaching Council, if you look at 60B, it requires that they conduct exam. That's the word, you conduct exam for the licensing of person who successfully complete teacher education programs. So the law requires that there must be an examination. So I heard the minister say we want to move away from a licensure exam regime to no licensure exam regime, which means that there's not going to be an examination. But here's the case: your law requires you to conduct an examination. So it tells that there has to even to be a process to go and amend that particular portion of the act that removes the word examination out of it. But once the law requires that you conduct an examination, it means that there must be an examination. Whether the examination is it as we are currently seeing, where people go and write pen to paper examination, or it is a form of assessment that the students or the potential teachers are assessed in a classroom setting for them to demonstrate their ability to teach effectively before they are given license. Whatever it is, there must be a form of examination looking at the provision of the act. So for me, I don't know how they intend to bypass this particular provision of the act, which stipulates that there must be examination. So if that is there, clearly what needs to be done is that there must be an examination. And if you want to reform it from the current form, then what you need to do is to look at it to say, okay, will this be just at the end of the people, their examination? Once they have completed college, written their final examinations, will the examination, will the licensure exam or papers be written continuously so that the teachers, trainees, potential teachers will not have to be waiting in the house for about some number of months before coming back again to write, or simply once they are done with the examination, we let them write their licensure examination and it ends there? Or is it really going to be after their final examination, we have a form of a mock setting for them to teach, for us to assess them, which I think is even the appropriate way, because I don't like this idea of people writing pen to paper examination, and we use that to assess their competency, that they are okay to go and teach. The ideal way to assess person's competence in teaching is the pedagogy, the content knowledge, and the pedagogy. The pedagogy is the art of teaching. So the person must be able to demonstrate in a classroom setting that I am competent to teach. Otherwise, the person can just pass the examination but may not have the skill to teach. So I think any reform must have an idea that these people must be able to demonstrate the ability to teach in a classroom setting, such that if it is after their final examination and we want to license them and we want a mock classroom setting for them to demonstrate their abilities, and based on that we license them. That also contributes to ensuring that we are bringing in quality teachers that have the pedagogical skills to be able to help our learning. So the committee has quite I'll say a difficult task, given the provision of the act that says there must be an examination, but it suggests that whatever they come out, if it is not, there's not going to be an examination, then their formal suggestion will be that this act must be repealed, or if they still want to maintain an examination because the act requires it, then I suggest that it is an examination that departs from the current stage where we go and write a paper examination, but rather an assessment that assesses the teacher's competency to teach, so where they are put in a classroom setting to demonstrate that before they are given the license.
Divine, thank you so much for speaking with us here on Newsroom. He is an education specialist, and we're largely concerned about the roadmap being asked by the minister responsible for education, Nyinahin Shooting, in terms of the abolishment of teacher licensure examination. But still on Nyinahin Shooting, he has expressed concerns about the mandatory inclusion of foreign language studies in Ghana's education system. He noted that every student in Ghana is now required to study at least one foreign language as part of their academic journey. The options include French, German, Spanish, and Chinese. Let's have a listen to him.
President Mahama, sometime by the end of this year, he is dedicating himself to the promotion of mathematics, science, and engineering education STEM. So from primary 4 to primary 6, STEM kits and STEM cells will be introduced for all learners at that level to get exposure to science, mathematics, and engineering education. The Ghana Education Trust Fund in the process of securing those STEM cells for use by upper primary 4 and upper primary 6. It is also the vision and dream of Excellency John Dramani Mahama that from senior high school to every Ghanaian student will have an option to choose between one major foreign language, French, Spanish, German, Chinese, or any other compulsory one language to accompany your area of study. That will also be introduced as part of our review of curricula.
Let's move away from education matters to some legal matters now, and legal practitioner Ken Koranche has weighed in on the recent petitions to stop the suspension of the Chief Justice, stating that such actions are entirely constitutional. Speaking on GHOne TV, he stressed the fundamental principles surrounding the position of the Chief Justice, emphasizing the crucial concepts of immunity and security of tenure that accompanies the office.
In the Constitution, some positions have immunity and security of tenure. Justices of the High Court, justices of the court, they even have independence in opinion. The electoral commissioner, those people have. But the problem is that all of us have decided not to behave well.
How so?
And when you do not behave well, the Constitution also provides for means by which people who may not have behaved well can react. If you look at one of the petitions, the petition from the Commissioner of Police, he details certain things that happened to him in the Supreme Court. And from where I sit, from some of my own personal experiences, when I was unlawfully invited by the Supreme Court, abused on national television, and thrown into jail. And as I talk to you today, there's no record of that thing happening in our country, in our official records.
Really?
Oh, yes. You see, and it was done by the Supreme Court. They have cases that they treat in a very funny way. And then when they have dealt with all those cases, then they come into cases that somebody has decided these are real cases that should come before the Supreme Court. One of those cases was the LGBT issues. One of those cases was my case against Mr. John Mama, which is still there. Okay, when I went to file the case, I paid my fees. I did everything. The lawyers on the other side entered appearance. They did everything that we had to do. All documentation was given to the Supreme Court. All addresses was done. Then something happened. The case just disappeared off the court list. You see, so these things happen in the Supreme Court. And then when they happen, and if you read the petition of the DCOP, for instance, some people, they don't forgive. Okay, when you do him, he will also reciprocate. So he saw the opportunity and he wrote the petition. And the Constitution allows that Article 146(6). So for me, who constantly, because I constantly do it, constantly take advantage of some of these constitutional provisions, I am not going to fault some of the people who have taken advantage of the constitutional provisions.
The acting Chief Justice, Dr. Sirakus B. Burampo, has issued a new directive. That's acting Chief Justice, Justice Bafuboni, has issued a new directive mandating that all filed cases and applications be brought directly to his attention, assignments of courts and empaneling of judges. In a memo from the Deputy Judicial Secretary to all registrars of High Courts, Courts of Appeal and the Supreme Court, he stated the directive supersedes all previous directives, as you can see on your screens now, and this particular statement is actually signed by the acting Dr. Bapuro, who is writing this memo on behalf of the acting Chief Justice, Justice Bafuboni, and it says, I have been directed by the acting Honorable Chief Justice to inform you that all newly filed cases and applications must be brought to his attention for reassignments of courts and panel of judges where there are more than one court, and for the fixing of dates for hearing. Take note that this directive supersedes all previous directives until further notice. Let's go for a commercial break. When we're back, we have more for you on Newsroom. Stay with us.
Hello there, and you're most welcome.
Welcome back from the break. This is still Newsroom on GHOne TV with me, Emmanuel Agyabeng. Let's get back to our earlier story where we brought to you news of the inclusion of foreign languages in the curriculum for students. The GHOne News' Khadija Idi has been engaging some parents and members of the public on their take on plans to introduce these more foreign languages to the SHS curriculum. Let's take a look.
For Education, lawyer Haruna Idrisu has said there are plans to add foreign languages such as Chinese, French, Spanish, and other languages to the Ghanaian SHS core subjects to be learned as a compulsory one. For this, GH1 News hits the street to find in what people's options are. Should they have the opportunity, which language will they choose?
French. I just love their language, that's all.
I think Chinese.
Probably Chinese. Reason being, right now, one of the fastest growing economies is China, and they are found practically in every single country. So I feel, maybe looking for a job or something, being able to speak that language would be a plus.
Chinese. Because I'm into importation, and then I would love to learn the language so that when I get there, I'll be able to communicate with suppliers easily and freely.
I think I'll go for Spanish.
Spanish,
yeah. The language is fascinating. I just like the way they speak and they mess with the words here. So I think Spanish for me.
I don't support them adding any language to our language though. In uni, I was given Russian to do. Immediately after my first year, I just dropped it because I didn't like languages. I think the English is okay. I'm not in support of adding any extra languages to it. Because with the French in basic primary school, we don't normally speak it or like to speak it. And adding a different language to it. People like me, I don't like languages.
Thoughts and comments there, but let's shift focus now to the world of business. The country managing partner of Deloitte Ghana, Daniel Owusu, has urged the government to take steps to drastically reduce the importation of food items such as rice, maize and poultry, among others, as a matter of necessity. According to him, the country has the capacity to produce these items, hence the need for reduction in these imports to promote local production and create employment. He made these comments during the launch of the 9th Ghana CEO Summit and Expo.
Established 9 years ago, the Ghana CEO Summit and Expo serves as a platform for in-depth dialogue and thought-provoking discussions focusing on the growth and development of the Ghanaian economy. The summit features top-notch chief executive officers from diverse backgrounds ranging from technology, telecommunications, industry, energy, academia, among others, for knowledge sharing to spur economic growth. Speaking at the launch, the country managing partner at Deloitte, Daniel Owusu, called on the government to reduce the importation of items that the country has the capacity to produce.
The feed Ghana, the feed industry are very important because they will not only feed the nation but also serve as raw materials for manufacturing industries, leading to job creation. We will therefore want a deliberate effort by the government to make this work. We must also be deliberate to cut down importation of certain foodstuff, such as rice, corn, poultry products. We believe that as a country, we have capacity to produce these agricultural products in Ghana abundantly.
The founding CEO of the network, Ernest de Graaf Ijui, highlighted the importance of the summit, saying that considering global and local challenges that the country is faced with, innovative leadership must be prioritized.
The summit has established itself as the leading platform for fostering bold conversations, creating high-value partnerships, and unlocking economic transformation. This gathering offers CEOs and decision-makers a platform to discuss practical and scalable solutions to today's business and economic challenges. It is where leadership meets action, where strategy meets policy.
In his keynote address, the executive chairman of KGL Group, Alex Dade, emphasized that technological transformation remains a key tool for economic development, hence the need for collaborative efforts to achieve this.
KGL Group, we fully appreciate the power of strategic platforms such as the CEO Summit. We know that the transformation does not happen in isolation. It is achieved through purposeful collaboration, candid engagement, and a shared vision of progress.
The summit, scheduled for May 26, 2025, is themed Leading Ghana's Economic Reset, Transforming Business and Governance for a Sustainable Futuristic Economy.
Well, as travel demands surge across the Bono region, the Metro Mass Transit is improving its services to ensure a smooth, secure and affordable transport experience for commuters. The Bono Regional Manager, Nyinahin Shooting, says all systems are in place to meet the growing passenger volumes driven by conventions, social events, excursions and student movements.
In these bustling parts of the country, where reliable and affordable transportation is crucial to daily life, NMT has significantly ramped up its operations to meet the rising demand, assuring the public of a safe, secure, and dependable travel experience. A fleet of well-maintained buses has been deployed, with drivers receiving ongoing training in professionalism and safety.
So you realize that in this peak period, there is a mad rush for Metro Mass buses because at the back of people's mind, they are safe. And these are the times that...
Additionally, MMT has signed a deal with the Ghana Police Service for a 24-hour police escort for all long-distance buses to destinations like Wa, Hamile, and Kumasi.
It comes in varied ways. Some have escorts on board, some have police vans leading them.
Another competitive advantage of the Metro Mass Transit over other transport operators is affordability.
None of the buses apply any of our routes. Compare their fares to us. Ours is very, very, very affordable.
Additionally, the traffic supervisor at the Nyinahin terminal, Emmanuel Agyabeng, emphasized transparency and social support, especially for stranded students.
When the students come, sometimes some sleep here. The next morning they come and complain that they have lost their money, and then the manager will instruct us that we should give them the protocol pass to travel to their destination.
Commuters at the Nyinahin terminal, including students, expressed satisfaction with MMT's safety measures and affordability.
Due to the speed limit, that's the reason why I chose or I prefer Metro bus than any other bus. Okay.
Omo engines, omo drivers, omo ABI kama. Menintina me pe Metro Mass efano.
The way many GHOne back to say bribia escort police room. Every baby kura na say omo chiro pa oka onuntinya kasapa.
I travel with Metro Mass because it is a more safe, it's a safer transit, and then it is secure and convenient, and then it takes you to your destination faster.
Metro Mass Transit says it remains committed to serving the public with safety, integrity, and social responsibility at the heart of its transport mission.
Time to bring you the sports news now. Parliament for Buam constituency Kofi Adams has stated that the yet-to-be-established sports fund will be managed more efficiently and transparently than the Ghana Education Trust Fund. Speaking on Star Chat with Bolare, Kofi Adams emphasized the importance of proper governance and accountability in management of public funds. According to him, the goal is to ensure that the sports fund becomes a reliable source of support, structure, and athletic development.
One thing we'll be doing, Bola, is to establish a sports fund. And
the Ministry of Sports is going to establish a sports fund. Oh, interesting.
And this sports fund, just imagine 34 million Ghanaians. All of us decide that a month I'll put just one CD. That gives you 34 million a month. You can imagine the number of kids.
Some will pay even more.
Some will pay more. The number of kids. Look, I was talking about the water athletics that we've started. When they launched it, some kids who took part were running barefooted. No spikes for them. So you can imagine if we have a sports fund, the number of kids we can get for this case, these young persons, that people will have spikes to run with. Those who are playing football will have boots. You can supply jerseys. You can supply many other things.
How soon is the sports fund, coming to street?
We've done the proposal. We've submitted to cabinet. I'm sure cabinet will give consideration to it. And once cabinet gives its approval in the format that we want to do it, then the bill will be ready to go to Parliament. We want to do it in such a way that it will...
Well, the Minister for Sports and Recreation, Kofi Adams, as well announced that the government is actively developing a funding model aimed at improving the financial welfare of players in the Ghana Premier League.
For whatever reasons, one doesn't know why our Premier League has become the way it has become. To the extent that you sometimes even enjoy Division 1 league than you would have for the Premier matches that are played. You don't see the pack of players that you would really want to follow and watch. Players are willing to leave quickly and for economic reasons. And so again, government has been working, and this is part of the president's directive that we are working out a model. Because these players, don't forget, are also youth. So the Youth Employment Authority has a program for youth where they are employed and paid something. We are a model like youth in sports, where some kind of additional monies will be given to these players, in addition to what their clubs are able to offer them. Look, some clubs don't even pay their players up to 500 Ghana cedi a month.
Wow.
So we think that if government does this, it will keep